Okay, we want to welcome you to the Premiere Technical Support YouTube channel. This particular video is going to be going over how to access our FTP server and download the American Top 40 with Casey Kasem 70s. First part of our video here, we're going to go over how to access that with Windows Explorer. We're also going to show you how to map a network location to your machine so you can create a shortcut. And then in a separate video, we will show you how to set up FileZilla as an FTP client for repeat access. So to start with, you should have gotten an email that looks something like this. So for the purposes of our video here, you will see that the username that we're working with is FTP-video and the password is FTP. Your username is very likely going to be a set of call letters. For example, test-FM, test-FM, and it will be a randomly generated password. So, but for the purposes of our email or for our video, this is our information. So you see you have two what we call embedded links at the top of your email here. That means that your username right here and your password right here, along with the full server name and the folder path, is included. What we do this for is if you use this embedded link, your machine will log directly into our server, into the folder that you're looking for, without prompting you for a username or password, because it's already included in that link itself. We have two that are set up for you. One is for the primary or the A program, and you'll see that the secondary link is for the optional or the B program. There is not necessarily an optional or B program every week. Typically there is a B program offered when the primary or A is a show that aired in the early 70s, let's say 1970 to 72, or the late 70s, say 77 to 79. For the shows that aired in 1979, there is also an optional fourth hour. We call that the original hour 1, and I will show you where to grab that as well. But to start with here, we're going to open up Windows Explorer. So there's two different ways you can get to that quickly. Down here it looks like a manila file folder. You can click on that, or you could hold down your Windows key and hit the letter E at the same time to get to the same place. So we're going to click up here in the address bar, type in ftp://ftp.premiere-networks.com. Now when I do this, it's going to prompt me for my username and password. So we're going to start with FTP video, and password. Now I'm going to change the look of things here. I'm going to look for Casey Kasem the 70s. Now I'm going to look for test-FM. So here are all the files that I have listed under test-FM. You see there are a whole bunch of them, 32 in fact. What we've done here is there are two different sets of files that can be produced depending on your day part. You have a Saturday range, which starts at 900.165 and finishes at 900.180, and you have a Sunday range, 900.184 to 900.199. We will distribute a PDF with this specific information as to what file name means what hour and what segment when we send you this email. But we wanted to show it to you in the folder just to kind of get an idea of if you happen to run on Saturday and Sunday, this is what you would see inside your folder. Just Saturday affiliates, obviously you're only going to see one. Just Sunday affiliates, again, just going to see one set of files. But what do I do from here? Well, let's shrink this a bit. I'm going to highlight everything in my folder. Control A, or I clicked on 965, I'll hold down the Shift key and I hit the End key, and I'm going to hit Control plus C to copy. And I'm going to go over here and I'm going to create myself a temporary folder on my desktop. And I'm going to right click in that folder and I'm going to hit paste. And so that's one way to download. There's a couple others we can do. And there we go. So I'm just going to delete those from the temporary. So another way I can download is if I want to click on one file. This, again, over here on the right hand side is my FTP server. And I can just drag it over to my local folder and it's downloaded. Or if I choose to, I can take one or multiple files, highlight them all, hold down the control key and right click. And I can select copy to folder. And you see it's got my desktop and there's the temp folder we created. And I'm going to hit OK. You see that over here on the left hand side they've been downloaded. So that would be how to download files using Windows Explorer. That's all it is. Another thing you might look for is your Q sheets. So you see we're here in the root KCKSIM directory. I'm going to look for /Q sheets, and there's going to be my Q sheet for the week. You'll notice since this particular week there is an A and a B program. We've isolated the optional program by just using a -B. And the other example we talked about is your optional audio or your B programming, how to get that. So here we have the root directory, KCKSIM 804070s. I'm going to go into the optional audio subfolder. And again, I'm going to look for test FM. Those are my call letters for today. And here I have two sets of files again for Saturday and Sunday. And I could download those either of the ways that we've already covered. Another, kind of the last trick we talked about was your original hour one. Should this be a program that aired in 1979, it originally did have 4 hours. So you see we're in the root KCKSIM directory, we're in optional audio, and we're going to look at /original hour. And here we would have for you MP3 files, MP2 layer or MPEG-1 layer 2 wave if you wanted, and the original hour Q sheet would also be in here would this be a week that was applicable. These files are one size fits all. They do not have commercials. Your contracted commercials would start in hour 2 in this case, and they would be automatically included in the files that we put in your station folder just like every other week. So that's how to get to KCKSIM American Top 40 the 70s on Windows Explorer. Now we're going to show you how to save this information as a network location and then create yourself a shortcut so that you can go back to this very quickly and easily and you don't have to enter the information over and over and over again. So we're going to go back to our email, and this is when we're going to use our embedded links. So if this was a traditional email, I could copy this information, highlight and copy. It won't let me do it with a screen grab here, but I could copy that. So instead I'm just going to shrink that down here. I am going to open up Windows Explorer again. Let's make it where we can see everything. I want over here where it says computer, it could say this PC if you're working with a newer machine. It could also have your host name. If you're unsure on how to do any of this, please consult your local IT team and they will help you. But we're going to right click computer here. We're going to add a network location. We're going to go next, choose custom and next. Here where we're going to, this is where if you had highlighted your entire link you could just copy and paste right in here, but since I can't highlight mine, I'm going to have to type it in. Make sure we spelled everything okay here. And so I can hit next. This name for your network location could be anything you want to name it. In this case, let's just say KC70s. And we hit next and finish. And you see how it automatically logs me in and browses to my specific test FM folder right off the bat. So if I were to close this window, I close Windows Explorer. Now if I go back to Windows Explorer, if I look on the list of my computer here, you see I've got a KC70's location. So how do I create a shortcut? I'm going to click on that. I'm going to right click, send to desktop, and create a shortcut. So if I close this window, I go to my desktop and here's my shortcut. If I double click on my shortcut, what does it do? It takes me straight into my predetermined folder. It automatically logs me in and I have all the files for my week. And that is how to access KC70s in Windows Explorer, and then also map your specific location as a network location, map your folder as a network location so that you can go back to it quickly. In order to do what we just did for your optional audio folder, you would just repeat the process and make sure that you changed that very first step, internet or network address, before you saved the new. And you could, in theory, you can have as many of these network locations as you wanted on your machine.